Welcome to another deep dive. This time into a partnership that's shaped global events for almost a century.
The intelligence sharing between the US and UK.
Exactly. We're going beyond the headlines, into declassified documents, firsthand accounts, and historical analysis.
Trying to uncover what makes this bond tick.
It's often called the special relationship.
Right, but that label doesn't quite capture the depth and complexity.
Yeah, we'll be exploring that for sure.
Yeah,
We'll see how this partnership, rooted in a shared cultural identity,
of course.
has weathered storms from World War II to the Cold War and beyond.
How it continues to evolve today, facing new threats in the digital age.
From midnight meetings at Bletchley Park to daring Cold War operations.
Buckle up.
Get ready for a journey through the hidden corridors of intelligence history.
A history where trust, necessity, and a shared vision of the world have intertwined to create a truly unique dynamic.
So let's rewind the clock back to February 1941. The U.S. isn't officially in World War II yet,
Right.
but a crucial meeting is about to take place at Bletchley Park.
Britain's code-breaking headquarters.
4 American officers arrive with a tempting offer.
They were carrying intelligence on Japan's Purple Cipher Machine, a diplomatic code that the U.S. had managed to crack. In exchange, they wanted access to Britain's Enigma breakthrough.
This meeting was a pivotal moment, wouldn't you say? Both sides were understandably cautious.
Absolutely. The U.S. Navy suspected the British might be trying to learn their codes, while the British feared American security protocols weren't tight enough to protect the Enigma secret.
So what tipped the scales in favor of collaboration?
A key figure emerges here: John Tiltman, a brilliant British codebreaker. He saw the bigger picture, the potential of combining their expertise to outmaneuver the Axis powers. Tiltman's advocacy, along with the undeniable value of the intelligence being offered, convinced both sides to take a leap of faith.
It's fascinating to imagine the atmosphere in that room. 2 nations, each with its own intelligence traditions and rivalries, suddenly realizing they need each other.
One American officer even described it as 2 mongrels circling each other. But as we know, those mongrels eventually formed a pack of vargs, a very successful one.
And this success wasn't just about breaking codes. The partnership went beyond technical expertise. It was about aligning their goals and facing a common enemy.
The wartime collaboration at Bletchley Park laid the groundwork for what would become a defining feature of the post-war world, a close intelligence alliance between the U.S. and the U.K.
An alliance that, as we'll see, was tested and reshaped by the challenges of the Cold War. As World War II ended, the landscape of global power shifted dramatically.
Yeah, the U.S. emerged as a superpower, while Britain's role
Was evolving.
was evolving.
Right.
How did this impact their intelligence partnership?
Well, the UK, though, no longer a vast empire, remained a key player on the world stage.
Right.
They recognized the need to adapt to this new reality.
So they embraced a closer partnership with the U.S.
Precisely, shared democratic values and a common enemy
in the Soviet Union.
solidified their bond.
Yes, this was
This was the dawn of the Cold War, a period of intense rivalry
suspicion.
and suspicion between the communist East and the capitalist West.
The threat of nuclear war loomed large, creating an urgency to understand Soviet capabilities.
And intentions.
And intelligence sharing became even more vital in this high-stakes game.
But this wasn't just about sharing raw data, it was about analysis interpretation.
And coordinated action.
For example, the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962
Oh, yeah.
put this partnership to a severe test.
A moment when the world held its breath.
Right. Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba pointed at the U.S. It seemed like we were on the brink of disaster.
Absolutely. And it's here that the story of Oleg Penkovsky, a Soviet GRU colonel,
Becomes critical. Penkovsky, a double agent.
working for British and American intelligence.
Right.
What motivated him to betray his own country?
Well, while details remain classified, we know he was deeply troubled by what he saw within the Soviet system.
Some sources suggest.
Some sources suggest he had a personal connection to a high-ranking military figure who opposed Khrushchev's hardline policies.
Right. A combination of personal conviction and a fear of nuclear annihilation.
Drove him to take immense risks.
Yes. And his actions had a profound impact on the course of the crisis. He provided detailed information about Soviet missile deployments in Cuba, including technical manuals that helped U.S. analysts interpret aerial photographs.
So Penkovsky's intelligence allowed the U.S. to confirm the presence of the missiles and assess their capabilities.
Precisely. This information was critical for President Kennedy in deciding how to respond. It enabled him to make informed decisions about the naval blockade and diplomatic negotiations, ultimately helping to avert a nuclear confrontation.
It's hard to overstate the courage it took for Penkovsky to do what he did, knowing the potential consequences.
Unfortunately, he was eventually discovered and executed by the Soviets. His sacrifice highlights the shadowy world of espionage.
And the personal risks involved.
It's also a testament to the trust that had developed between the US and UK intelligence agencies. They were willing to share their most sensitive assets and collaborate closely on an operation with such enormous stakes.
Penkovsky's story is just one example of how this partnership played a crucial role in navigating the complexities of the Cold War.
Absolutely.
And this collaboration didn't end with the fall of the Berlin Wall. In fact, as new threats emerged, the relationship between the US and UK intelligence services adapted and evolved. The world didn't exactly become a safer place after the Cold War. New threats emerged: terrorism, cyber warfare.
The rise of new global powers.
Right. All presented fresh challenges for the US-UK intelligence alliance.
Absolutely.
You mentioned cyber warfare. It seems like that's become a major focus for intelligence agencies worldwide. How has this affected the collaboration between the US and the UK?
Well, things become even more intertwined.
Yeah.
Cyber threats don't respect borders.
Right.
A hacker in one country can easily target systems in another.
Making international cooperation absolutely essential.
Absolutely. The need to share information and expertise in real time has only intensified.
So the US National Security Agency
And the UK's Government Communications Headquarters,
Yeah.
GCHQ,
have a particularly close relationship when it comes to signals intelligence.
which is crucial for countering cyber threats.
There have been some bumps along the way, haven't there? I'm thinking of the Snowden revelations, which exposed the extent of these agencies' surveillance programs and caused some diplomatic friction.
Yeah, the Snowden affair did raise important questions about privacy and oversight, leading to some adjustments in how intelligence is gathered and shared, but the core of the US-UK partnership remains strong. Both countries recognize that the benefits of collaboration far outweigh the occasional disagreements.
It's interesting to consider how this partnership might evolve in the future. We've got artificial intelligence becoming more sophisticated, the global balance of power shifting, and who knows what other technological advancements are on the horizon.
It's a fascinating question. Will this alliance adapt to these new realities? Or will it be strained by diverging national interests?
Some argue that the relationship has already become more transactional, with each country prioritizing its own needs.
Right, that's definitely a perspective we need to consider. The world is becoming increasingly multipolar, with powers like China challenging the existing order. This could lead to a reassessment of alliances and priorities on both sides of the Atlantic.
So while the intelligence sharing between the US and the UK has a remarkable history, its future is by no means guaranteed.
No, but this deep dive has shown us how this partnership has weathered many storms, adapting to changing circumstances and facing common threats. But as we look ahead, it's clear that the special relationship, as it's often called, will need to continually evolve to remain relevant and effective in a world that's constantly reshaping itself.
It leaves us with plenty to ponder. The next chapter in this intelligence story is still being written, and it's a story that will undoubtedly impact all of us whether we realize it or not. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the hidden world of intelligence collaboration.